I assume that you came here because you want to learn about transforming the organizations from the inside, right? So how many of you actually work in large organizations, like 200 plus? Almost everyone, right? Very good. All right, so let's get started. What's wrong? My name is Yuriy. A couple of words about myself. I work as a program manager for GlobalLogic Ukraine, which means that I manage Scrum Masters, if it's ever really possible, but that's it. So I'm mid-level manager, let's say. Also, I'm a startupper in mind. So in the past, I founded 4 startups, starting from rock bands to like venture-backed traditional software, which we failed with the team, but that's another story. What else do you have to know about me is that my current startup is Agile Geeks. It's a startup inside of GlobalLogic that is doing the Agile transformation from the inside. And I will speak largely about GlobalLogic Agile Geeks today. And my most important startup in my life is this beautiful baby boy, Marco, who is 6 months old, and which gives me energy to cope with all the stuff I mentioned above. All right, so my first question to you is, do you love your company? Yes. Do you love your company, guys? Yes. Very good. Like in any relationships, there's 2 sides of the coin, right? On one side, we have things that we love about our company, which are like compensation, right? Or maybe challenging projects, or good colleagues, good team, or a good boss that's understanding you and it's developing you. What else? Opportunities, right? In other companies or in your company. Okay, so these are the good things. So now let's think about not the bad things necessarily, but the things that you would like to change. Let's do a little brainstorm. What would you like to change? This is not necessarily should be in your control zone, maybe outside of things that you might control. Culture. Click. How to draw a null. Okay. Bureaucracy. Control. Not result, but control. Okay, so bureaucracy. What else? Especially in the big companies. What would you like to change? Procedures is bureaucracy, right? Mindset and culture. Yeah. It's so easy to change mindset, right? One step at a time. Maybe integration between departments, maybe transparency of decision making, right? So these are things that we all are suffering sometimes, but again, the good side wins. We are still in that companies. So to be honest, speaking with my colleagues in GlobalLogic, we have some evidences of all the stuff that you mentioned in our company as well. We are nobody is perfect, right? So before we proceed, couple of facts about our company. If you're not from Ukraine, you don't know, but we are huge. Yeah, like almost 10,000 engineers around the world, 1,500 in Kyiv alone, multiple accounts from different industries, from automotive to semiconductors to traditional enterprise web and mobile systems to healthcare. 150 projects / teams and some 60 project managers who I think have the ability and are empowered for this change. So imagine how dispersed we are and how to fix all the stuff that you mentioned on such a scale. So in my talk, I will share my practical experience, my attempt, not being the CEO. It's so easy being a CEO, just change yourself and change the company, right? But if you're a middle-level managers with no formal authority for such changes on such scale, there might be challenges, but this is possible. And this is my main message to you, that this is possible, and I'll tell you how. So you see the gap between current reality and where you would like company to be, right? An agile organization that you heard a lot of theory today, yeah? But in practice, what to start with, how to make this first step towards the change, especially if you don't have authority. So I had an idea. If we speak about the organizational structure, there's 2 types how the innovation or change may come. One is top to down, when the CEO says, we have to do this, this, and this is waterfall to the teams. And they basically have no choice. They see, why should we do this? The CEO told us, okay, period. So this is sort of a push strategy. And I personally do not believe that continuous change is possible with this approach. So My idea, again, I'm a startupper. I always start with a bold idea, and then I find a team of like-minded people, and then we try to build an MVP and so on, like lean startup, right? So I got a few like-minded managers from my, let's say, circle of influence, right? We are hanging out together, we're going out for lunch, we're exchanging thoughts, we're attending conferences together, and we have sort of a similar views on how the company should evolve. So the idea was that if we have a team of managers that are consulting other project teams, because mainly my concern was the way how we run projects in those different industries, different cultures from account to account. So the idea was that if you make changes bottom up that are driving people and inspiring people, sooner or later the company will change. This is just an idea. And as an MVP, minimum viable product, as you know from Lean Startup, we choose the ballpoint game. Who knows the ballpoint game? Very few people, right? So the ballpoint game is a very popular agile simulation of the process flow that allows team just in a playful manner explore the process, to learn from their experience, to understand the value of retrospectives, to learn to interact with each other and with the customer, and it's a part of a certified Scrum Master training. So I took like 2 Scrum Masters that knew this game, and we had an idea that if we scale this game, if we train like many people, they will understand the Agile better, and this will enable improvements inside of the company. But before we did that, we all know from theory, we heard it today a lot of times, that no change in the company is possible if CEO, if the top level guy is not willing to change, right? So I didn't come to the CEO because he's in the Silicon Valley, but I focused on the key of office, and I came to the VP of delivery. Let's call him Andrew, because it's actually his real name. So I said, Andrew, and we had a talk. It was pretty like not concrete. We were just speaking about the state of Agile and how agile we are. And he's a certified Scrum Master as well, PMP and stuff. He also likes to talk about theory, and it was talk about nothing, right? Where we are, we were just discussing the terms, what is agility and stuff, and like, okay, my 15 minutes are gone, sorry, I have to run, he said, and okay, no result from the talk. But he was, the important thing that he shared is that we tried this a few times before. We hired coaches, we sent people to trainings, we tried this like top-down approach. When the training department says, guys, you need trainings, and then the change will happen itself. And it didn't work. So his personal concern was, okay, I understand Agile is good, yeah, but it's not my problem right now. I do not witness how it will help me solve my goals. So, but if you believe it will work, just prove me, and we'll talk about some numbers, some facts, not just frustrative talk about nothing, right? So we conducted this game. The results were stunning. Of course, teams were excited. The managers that were playing together with the team, they went out of the conference room with like 5 sheets of paper, A4 size, all with action items with improvements. And the next thing, they came to us and said, guys, what should I need with this? Like 40 action items. What should I start with? How do I deal with my client? I'm not sure a client understands the problems that team just discussed. Just a few words about the training. It's 1 hour a game, actually, and 2 hours after the game, it's the retrospective, the discussion, how our new learning helps us in our real work life, right? So teams really understand a lot, and which often is the case that they don't always have the right retrospectives regularly. And manager is like, okay, I have to learn to run retrospectives, or I have to hire Scrum Masters, which is, again, a small victory, because the GlobalLogic never hired just Scrum Masters, rather like project managers, engineering managers, development managers, program managers, just managers. Okay, so my first like hint for you, if you want to change something, you will meet resistance. And on this slide, I want to help you deal with this resistance, right? Because it's all like practical experience. So first resistance coming from top executives. So they say like, we tried this in the past and it didn't work, right? And that's okay, that's their experience. So my next conversation with Andrew was totally different because I prepared for this. So I learned from other people what might be his pain points. And when I learned the pain points, it's easy to sell it to him that I know that how Agile fixes like the metrics that you care about. Because these guys having a 1,000+ strong office, you operate basically by, you are reviewing metrics, and if you see some red zone, you are managing it, right? So which things are important to the top executives? Any ideas? Money, cash flow. No investment. That's the key of this particular startup, that he offered investments, but having experience of venture-backed startups, I believe that until we reach the value, I don't want to take any money, because he will immediately ask them back. Not immediately, but he wants to see a plan, a return on investment as well. And it's a startup. I don't know yet how these trainings will be useful for the rest of the teams. So besides the financial metrics, these guys do care about employee engagement, about customer satisfaction, about the number of escalation that he has to manage like on a weekly basis, which is a real pain point for him. And as we all know, and how my good friend Marian, he's not here today, Marian Tsar says, all the answers are in the Scrum Guide, right? So if you know the Scrum Guide well and you have some practice, you can convince the guy that Scrum or Agile, any Agile philosophy rather than methodology, helps to deal with employee engagement, right? They feel empowered, self-organized, and they the surveys that they participate in, their satisfaction grows. If teams collaborate better with client satisfaction will grow. So I was speaking in this manner to him, and he was like, okay, what do you need from me, right? So it was a temptation to tell him, I need more money, we need more Agile coaches, like dedicated, who are not managing projects, are only doing Agile coaching. Because we had one in Kiev, and he was serving other Ukrainian locations as well, and this is nothing, you know? One person cannot be a change agent in such a big organization. Basically, there is no one to give him feedback, how good he is as a coach, as a trainer, right, when he's alone. So he was giving trainings, giving some introduction to Scrum, and that's it. And his only metric of success was how many people went through these trainings. So that's about top executives. So the only thing we asked for was executive support. So let us talk to your managers on your like monthly meeting and support our ideas. Not just this is Yuriy, he will tell you something, but this is Yuriy, he will present you the initiative, and I believe this is important. That's it. That's the only thing that we asked. So we came to the middle-level managers, right? And their typical concern is either I don't have time for this, or the most popular is I'm good. My teams are running well. See the data, yeah? So we're making money, we're doing great job, the client is happy, I'm good, right? But I personally do not believe in such a binary statistics. Either I'm good or bad, right? Because this doesn't give you an idea what to improve and how severe you are from the desired outcome. So our message to them was, we will help you make your life easier. So again, it's not a push strategy, but rather pull strategy. So we were talking to them mostly in coaching format. So tell us more how you work. And he was like, I'm good at this, and we perform this way. Show us your Jira. Oh, it's not that perfect, right? So what's the velocity and stuff? Why the velocity is this, not the other? I don't know. That's the problem. Tell us how you run retrospectives. We don't do them so regularly, like once per release, and that's enough, and the team is satisfied. Look at the data. Yeah, so conversation by conversation, they give up and they say, okay, let's try. And then we come to teams, and it's also a big temptation to speak to the teams in a manner like, we will help you improve. Agile will help you improve and grow, etc., because they also feel that they are okay. improve? Oh, come on. My favorite is your Agile doesn't work. It means my Agile, right? And our next question is, tell us how you tried, how you are running your daily scrums. And it turns out that if our Agile doesn't work, that it's like with kittens, you cannot cook them. You don't cook them right. Okay. Clients are, we have like different clients with different cultures, but most of them, yeah, they have some, not concerns, but first question is how it will help me. And they have different metrics from the CEO, from the VP guy. And why should I pay for this? Of course, we are not doing everything for free, and if client requests an Agile coach to do some activities for his team, he pays for it. And our communication is about his metrics. So what the client's metrics are. Let's assume client is a development manager or a VP of product of some company in the US or UK. What are their pain points with the product, probably, yeah? Yeah, exactly. Quality, predictability of delivery, time to market. And we know how Agile solved this. He doesn't know yet, but he will know as his team gets to him and say after the training, dude, we have 4 product owners. What should we do? Who has more authority? Who should we listen to? Who should prioritize our backlog? Because these 4 product owners, none of them is doing what we need, right? Prioritizing our backlog, specifying like user stories, etc. So these are the, you can make pictures if you haven't yet, and we are moved to another slide. The results, yeah, I know you're like managers, Scrum Masters, you want to see metrics, results, and this is the slide with numbers that proves that it works, right? So we started 6 months ago, and since that we, oh, sorry, wrong button. Повторение мать учения. 16 team trainings, which are not only the delivery teams, I have to pay attention to this part of the audience, which are not only delivery teams, but for example, HR team. How to explain HR, the velocity and stuff if we are going through the Agile ballpoint game, right? We managed with that. And the surprising part was that HR loved it really, really much. Another fact is that their resulting velocity, so the goal of Agile ballpoint game is to gain maximum velocity during one iteration. Their resulting velocity beaten all the delivery team's velocity. And when we tell it to any delivery team that's playing, what? Ladies overcame us? That's not true. That's not possible. But the reality is that the ladies did manage to go outside of the box, and they invited some new workflow and managed to show outstanding results. And another surprising thing about HR is that they became our evangelists, because they speak to delivery managers on a regular basis and mostly about like team issues, team health. And next time any delivery manager speaks to an HR and says, oh, I have issues in the team, their answer is, why don't you try an Agile ballpoint game? It's a good team building activity, and later you will learn something more about your team that you know right now. And the reality is that first the manager knows the top of an iceberg, and after the training he's like, oh, the rest of the iceberg is like 90% of the problems. And they start hiring Scrum Masters instead of managers, or injecting an Agile coach into their team for a like temporary, like 3 to 6 months assignment at the client cost. So 250 people participated, mostly like delivery teams, some HR team, again, travel team. It was a hard time to explain velocity to travel, but one of our coaches did very well with that. Also, it includes one training on the client side. So after a client has witnessed that his Ukrainian team was very excited about the training, he said, oh, I have like 25 people in Vancouver. Yuriy, why don't you conduct a training for them? So we're going to Vancouver, Canada, and aligning the teams, because the learnings are pretty much the same. And then a lot of questions to development manager, what to do with that. 5 consulting projects completed. What I mean by consulting projects is any engagement with the manager after the training. For example, he realizes that he has to work on his organizational structure to structure his teams better, to identify leadership potential in his teams, who can act as a Scrum Master because they didn't have one in single team, or like processes and tools consulting. So the last but not the least, like 5 training requests from other companies. We haven't done much outside marketing. It's not our focus right now. We are now more focusing on delivery excellence inside of GlobalLogic, but the only thing that we do outside, we are posting these beautiful pictures to Facebook. And our friends who are stakeholders in other companies say, wow, that looks impressive. I see that you're having fun. You're getting the teams together, and it's sort of a team building. And I assume you have some learning experience there. So why don't you come to our company and conduct this sort of training for us? Sure, no problem. Here's our price list. Okay, what else? Yeah, the thing that I'm proud the most is the team, because these guys are doing this really in their spare time. Having a couple of startup experiences in the past, I know that they will need some fuel, either bonus reward or maybe some workshops that are funded by our organization or conferences or whatever. But for 6 months, we were really lean, like a lean startup. And another impressive fact is that we are not only delivery managers. We are HR lady, PR lady, training and development lady, which are participating, helping us grow this team and helping us be efficient. And they are evangelists into their respective departments, which brings a new level of integration between departments, right? So this is the team. We are 8 people, and I think we're growing because we need some hands. So we're inviting some talented Scrum Masters who want to join our team. The next thing is summarizing our services, what we do. So we're coaching managers in teams. We help set up processes and tools. And we're improving client interactions. For example, a client learns about the retrospective results, about these 40 items, and he says, like, next week I should be in Kiev and talk to the team. And imagine what will happen, right? So on the game, the team felt like psychological safety. They were open to generate these 40 items. And if client comes, there's no guarantee that they will feel safe again, especially in our mentality where the client is king and we are just doing our job, right? So manager realizes that, and he says, guys, why don't you facilitate our session so that language barrier and safety are not the blockers for the team to be open with the client. All right. And the last probably slide, this is not just a triangle, this is delta. So the change. The results and plans so far. Again, 6 months, no budget from the company side. Mid-tier managers became more open for change. So if we had resistance in the beginning, now we have them like meeting me somewhere in the elevator and said, oh, Yuriy, I remember you were doing some games. Why don't you handle it for my team? I really feel the need. Oh, you feel the need? Great. The company starts hiring Scrum Masters. If you come to our website 6 months ago and enter the jobs descriptions like /managers, you will not see any like Scrum Master vacancy. Now managers start seeing value that they need to hire more Scrum Masters into their team for people, for them to be responsible for like product and people side and leaving all the managerial overhead to like program managers, senior managers, or whatever. Clients now request an Agile coach to help their teams, especially after the training. They realize that themselves they cannot fix all those issues even during a long term. So they ask a facilitator, Agile coach, who will guide them through this transformation. We're integrating into company's learning and development strategy because at one point, like a few weeks ago, the learning and development manager says, guys, you seem to be doing for our like management education and team education more than we do. So why don't we integrate together and think how can we multiply our efforts? Again, acquisitions is another topic. So GlobalLogic is buying companies from different sectors to complement our services, but they act differently. They have totally different corporate culture. So who will ensure that we are on the same page in terms of delivery best practices? How do we run projects? Because we will soon be part of the same team, like team from Kyiv and team from a new Polish acquisition. So we are doing that as well, and these are the evidences as I see them that the culture is changing. So I heard some good feedback that what you are dissatisfied with is the culture, and with this talk I want to tell you that this is possible, cultural change, but of course with the small steps. If you ask me about success factors, I have been rewriting this slide a couple of times because these success factors for me will not necessarily work for you. You have different company, different culture. Maybe you need to apply push strategy, not pull, because of your culture is more aggressive, and in GlobalLogic we have it more people-centered, right? So I finally managed to curve three out of them. And first is individuals and interaction. And you know the rest of the statement, right? Our processes and tools. I believe that people is the key for any change. If you deal with them in a manner that you have to do this, this, and that, this change is not going to be sustainable. If you think about long-term sustainable success, you have to start with the very bottom. Yesterday, I've seen the Facebook post from one of my friends who is a coach and an HR guy. He's been working in different Ukrainian companies, not IT, like Nova Poshta or Watson's. And he recently returned from the HR Summit or HR Forum, the conference for HR directors, right? And his feeling, he's a HR manager or a coach, whatever, his feeling is that, guys, this is bullshit. The metrics that you show us on as HR directors, I don't believe that I work in the field, and I don't believe that if I take like Grushchik from Nova Poshta, like the personnel, and ask them what is your employee engagement, or how satisfied are you with the job, how his feedback will be aligned with the numbers that you're showing, right? So that's also another story from my brother who's been working in US as a developer, and he's not like of this managerial type developer. He's just, I'm doing my job and quit. He said, we are a team of 150 people, and the company believes that we need Kanban. They invite consultants, experts in Kanban, certified, etc., and they train us like 1 week how to run Kanban. Well, it sounds good, okay. So the experts leave, and the CEO of the company comes to the development team and say, okay, so guys, how do you like the training? Great. Are you gonna implement it? No. Then they hire a experienced manager, mature, I would say, like 25 years of management experience. It all happens in the United States. And with the solid experience of walking through US Army. 6 weeks, every team is on Kanban. So you have to really work with people and focus on people rather than on processes, I believe. The next success factor, it's true for any company, is you have to have green light from top executives. Without that, nothing is possible. So we regularly provide like transparency of our activities to the top manager to make sure he is aligned and he knows what's going on, and he knows when is the time when we will ask for budget for additional agile coaches or whatever. So we keep him interested, and his green light means a lot. For example, he said, okay, you have my executive support, whatever it means. Next thing I do, I come to our PR manager and tell him that I need 50% of Oля, your PR specialist, to help us with PR activities. He's like, oh really? Let me think about it. My next statement is, Andrew approved this. All right. So I don't have to use authority a lot, but this thing tends to help. Third is like famous agile style statement, like think big, act small, and learn fast. Whatever it means, but for me, think big is sort of a strategic question. You have to realize the scope of your changes. So if your GlobalLogic is 10,000 people, Probably I will first focus on Kyiv, where I'm located, and it's like 1,500. And I kind of know the small steps that I need to take to get them on board. X small is, you can start with whatever. Is it like agile game? Is it like coaching sessions during the lunchtime? Or anything, right? I assume that you will build, measure, and learn, like lean startup approach. Build, measure, learn, you can change anytime, and you will learn from your experience. I think that's it. Yeah, of course, your story will be different, but again, change from the inside, bottom to up, is possible. And thank you for your attention.